Hey, what's happening YouTube? So today I'm going to teach you how to do a time-lapse video using the Sony a6400. I'm on my way now to the location. Hopefully I can get there before the sunset. And hopefully I can get some nice shots to do a time-lapse video. The main difference between a time-lapse and a regular video, basically if you do a video and then you just speed up the play speed, it's not going to be as smooth as time-lapse video. Time-lapse basically multiple shots stitched into one, and it will capture more detail and more action on the scene, and it's going to be epic. So watch out for that.
Hey guys, I may have driven too far. When I say too far, it's a couple of hours from Manila. When I say a couple of hours, it's actually a 6-hour drive. I'm in Pangasinan! Pangasinan to be exact. So this is where I'm gonna shoot my time lapse. I'm gonna show you how to shoot it, how to set up the camera, and also how to edit it in Lightroom and Premiere Pro. I'm tired. I may do it tonight so we can get some astrophotography as well. Let's see how this camera captures the detail in low light. Hopefully it's gonna be good. So yeah, it's Christmas Day. Merry Christmas everyone. Beautiful beach, isn't it? Hey, what's happening YouTube? So it's day number 2 here in Pangasinan, and I'm continuing the video on how to shoot a time-lapse video for the Sony a6400. Now it is a little too bright today, so I suggest you use an ND filter. Now variable ND filters allows you to have a slower shutter speed and a wider aperture for your shots. So this is very useful in this kind of scenario. Basically, we're shooting time lapse. We want to keep that movements in the clouds and people, and as well as other moving objects. So you can keep that slower shutter speed and maintain that motion in your pictures. So the first thing that we need to set, the mode to manual. Alright, let's set the manual. Now check your composition. Let's see. Alright, that looks good to me. Now, since it's really bright outside, you want to make sure that the monitor is very visible at this time. So go to monitor brightness. And usually it's set to manual if I'm shooting indoors, but this time we're going to set it to sunny weather. Now let me just take a sample shot of my setting. For this type of situation, basically I set it to 1125 shutter speed, f3.5, ISO is at 100. I'm sorry. And the image that appears looks actually good. Yeah. So for this composition, I want to make sure that I have a background and a foreground. Well, my foreground subject is this floating thing right here. That's gonna be my subject. Alright, the time lapse, you go to menu option number 1, interval shooting. I'm gonna set it to on. Start time, Basically, what this does is after you press the shutter speed, the time lapse will start, but it will give you a delay time of 5 seconds. That's how I set it. I want to make sure that my hands are already released from the shutter speed before it starts taking the photos. So 5 seconds should be enough. Shooting in turbo. Now, for this scene right here, there's not a lot of wind right now, so we expect to see movements of the clouds to be, well, to be slow actually. So I think I'm gonna set it to let's see, let's give it about 7 seconds. Number of shots. So for the number of shots that you're going to take for your time-lapse video, that's going to depend on the timeline that you're going to use in your video editing software. So standard 4K video is 24 frames per second. So let's say you want to achieve a 10-second time-lapse. So you want to multiply that 10 second to the number of frames per second in the 4K timeline, so it's 240 shots. But for my videos, I like to do it at 30 frames per second. So it's 30 times the number of the duration of the time lapse that I want to achieve. So let's say 20 seconds. So that's about 600 shots that this time lapse will take. Now I want to add a buffer through it. So 600, let's say around 650 to 700 shot for this timeline, for this time lapse. Now, an additional note for your focus through your camera settings, well, basically I set it to manual and focus on a specific spot. For this instance, I'm focusing on that that floating kubo right there. That's gonna keep the focus on that image. So you don't want to change that focus after each shot, so you want to set it to manual. Also the ISO settings right now, it's set to 100, and I'm keeping it that way. And if I need to brighten the picture or adjust the tone and other settings in Lightroom, I'm gonna do it in post, not in the camera. I want to have a steady images through my shots. Now about interval, right now it's set to 7 seconds. It is a bit high because there's not much movements in the clouds right now. It's not a very windy day, so I don't expect to see a lot of movements in the images, except for my kids. So I'm setting it to 7 seconds. If you want to show some more actions or movements through your time lapse, I suggest you set it to 3 seconds or 5 seconds, depending on the situation, depending on the subject. For aperture settings, I set it to 3.5. Basically, I want to allow more light to enter in, and I want to keep focus on that thing. So 3.5 is okay. If you want the background to be focused more through your time lapse, I suggest you use a higher aperture, probably f7 or even all the way up to f11.
Sorry guys, I lost my voice for the past 24 hours, so I'm just gonna show you on screen how to edit the images that you captured from your time lapse. Alright, so after you transfer the file to your computer, just open up Lightroom and then add the folder which contains your time-lapse video, time-lapse images. Sorry, I'm just gonna have to type the instructions on screen. Make sure that you read it, okay? Alright, so once the image is loaded up in Lightroom, just hit import. So once all the images are loaded up, hit develop.
Our souls began to intertwine. Your heart of gold, so pure, divine. And I lost myself within